obviously I can't be a 2-year-old again, but like, what are the ways that I can reparent? What are the ways that
Mhm.
I can rediscover, that I can be open and new and um, just unrestricted?
Today, I'm sitting down with Stephanie D. Keene, a creator and writer based in Philadelphia who is standing at a powerful crossroads. Stephanie is the former founder and designer of Incense Trap and Yoga, an apparel brand rooted in social awareness, culture, and self expression. After building something deeply aligned with her values, Stephanie's life shifted toward motherhood, reflection, and the very real question many creatives face: what do I want to create next? In this conversation, we explore the in between space where identity evolves, creativity pauses and reemerges, and imposter syndrome often speaks the loudest. We talk about balancing creative ambition and caregiving, how culture and lived experience shape expression, and what it means to give yourself permission to change. This is a conversation about becoming, unbecoming, and trusting yourself through the uncertainty. I'm your host, Charvon Hales, and this is Light, Life, and Limitations, a podcast where creativity meets reality.
When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, lighting life in all the limitations.
Welcome, Steph.
Thank you. I'm like rethinking my life all over again just listening to that.
Well, I like to give people their flowers when they come on to the podcast. I've obviously have known you for quite some time. We started off as cuddle buddies in Redondo Beach.
Yep.
For those who don't know what that means, Steph and I were both mentors for the Philly Youth Poetry Movement. We had gone out to LA for Brave New Voices,
Mhm.
and we were like 12 artists deep, piled up in 2 motel rooms. 'Cause, when you starve an artist and you on a budget,
Starving, for
you
real.
will sneak 6 people to a room and 3 people to a bed. You make it work. So I got to know Steph very quickly
Very quickly, very intimately.
as her assigned bedmate for that
Oh,
trip.
goodness.
Uh, but give us a little bit of background on who you are, where you're from, and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, that's a super easy question to answer very quickly. No, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be involved in anything that you do creatively. Um,
I appreciate that.
yeah, so I appreciate you asking. My name is Stephanie D. Keene. I am becoming. Um, I am originally from Greenville, South Carolina. I was born and raised there. Um, and made my way up the East Coast for undergrad back in the late 90s. Um, shout out to Lincoln University, the first HBCU. Um, and then I went back home for a year after I graduated, and it just so happened that the closest friends that I made in college were from Philly.
Mhm.
And so everybody was together, and I was, like, back home working at a call center, and I was like, "I wanna be with my friends." So I quit my job, and I just moved. No plan, no prospects, no income. But, I was, what, 21? Um, and so I was in the Philly area for a number of years,
Mhm.
Philadelphia proper for a number of years, and it has not let me go. I am a mother to a 2-year-old who is, uh, the most incredible human being on the face of the planet.
Mm.
Um, and honestly, watching him, like, become a human being has
Mm.
really and watching him I was having this conversation with a friend the other day, raising a free Black child, who is not, sort of, like, restricted and encumbered in the ways that I was as a kid, and
Mm.
that many millennials
Yes.
probably were. Um, just has me in a constant state of reflection about, um, obviously I can't be a 2-year-old again, but, like, what are the ways that I can reparent? What are the ways that
Mhm.
I can rediscover, that I can be open and new and, um, just unrestricted? And so
Yeah, I've seen that mentioned where millennials have said that they in their parenting, they're almost reparenting themselves.
yeah, yeah. And I say that as someone who, like, if I had to if I started all over again and had to choose new parents, I would choose my parents again. I think my parents
Mhm.
are and were great. But they're born in the '40s, and so they raised me. And honestly, a lot of the choices that they made as parents were very different than a lot of boomers make, but they're still boomers.
Mhm.
The boomer is still in there. And so, yeah, I think a lot about the things also the things that they had to be concerned about. Like, when you're thinking about raising a child in the '70s and '80s, you're thinking differently than you're thinking about raising a child in 2026.
Mhm.
But I say all that to say, I am still, even with that love and support, there are a lot of ways that I'm reparenting myself,
Yeah.
every day, and things that when they say your inner voice is that of your parent, my inner voice absolutely is my mom's voice. And sometimes I say things even out loud that I'm like, "Girl, that was not you, that was your mom." Like that that was a 77-year-old woman. What do you so I don't know, that was a long way of just echoing, I think, how you described me is that I've done a lot, um, and I'm figuring out what I wanna do next, and I think
Mhm.
a thing that I've realized is a lot of women talk about losing themselves in motherhood, especially early motherhood. I became a mother in my 40s, which is a whole other thing, um, but so I was conscious of it going into motherhood, like, I don't wanna lose myself, I don't want to martyr myself to this role, um, and what I've realized, for me at least, it's not that I am taking care of this little person, and so I don't know who I am anymore. For me,
Mhm.
it's been, I'm taking care of this little person, and it's making me think more deeply about who I am and what I wanna be and what I wanna do, and I don't have answers.
Mhm.
And so the lostness isn't about I've poured 100% into him and I don't have anything left for myself. It's about I've gone through this huge transition and I'm a different person now,
Mhm.
and I have to get to know her, and I have to figure
Yeah.
out what she likes and what she wants to do, and I could have easily, I guess, just tried to make this new person fit who the old person was.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not interested in that. And so the result is now I just have to reckon with this uneasy, um, sort of moment
Yeah.
of
And
rediscovery.
and that's interesting because one of the questions I had was, do you feel pressure to live up to a past version of yourself or your work?
Yes and no. Um, I feel I feel pressure to be a person. I feel so I don't feel like I need to be Stephanie from 10 years ago or even 5 years ago or even 2.5 years ago. But I do feel pressure that I have to I have to be an equal person to that person.
Mhm.
So, like
So let's talk about the different versions of Stephanie that
Mhm.
or, the one at least the ones that I've known, right? So I met you as Rhythm, right?
Uh-huh,
Rhythm Keene,
uh-huh,
spoken word poet.
mhm,
And then you kind of went from being a spoken word poet slash mentor, teacher, to youth poets into doing incense trapped in yoga, which
uh,
shout out to my Music Saved My Life
thank you.
shirt from Instance Trapping Yoga. Um, So now you're in this space of, like, designer and entrepreneur,
Mhm.
right? Retailer. And then that kind of almost shifted into, as far as, like, the themes of the shirts, it shifted when your work started to shift more toward social justice
Uh-huh.
and, abolition and things like that.
Mhm.
So, do you wanna kinda talk about, like, those pivots? Because this is one of the things that I just love about life as a creative is pivoting,
Mhm.
right? You don't have to stay in a box, you don't have to keep doing what you started doing.
Yeah.
So how do you address those pivots as they come?
I think my earliest pivots were when I was just young enough that I could just do what I wanted to do. Or
Mhm.
I wasn't stressed about I could go on a trip where I know I'm gonna be sleeping 3 to a bed, 6 to a room with
Mhm.
other people and, like, not feel a way about it, right? And that's youth, at least for me. That was, like, in my 20s, this is
Yeah,
great.
definitely. At 45, I'm like, "Please, I don't want another human in the bed."
Listen, and so one of those trips, I can't remember if it was that trip or if it was another year, but one of those trips, I went on the trip and something got cut off while I was going, like my power or like my water. Something got cut off because
Mhm.
I didn't pay the people. And it was just like, "Oh,
Oh, well.
my bad."
I'll deal with that when I get back.
Right. So that's the level of youth, um, that I was dealing with at that time. And so a lot of my early pivots were just like, "Oh, let's just do this," or "Let's do this." And
Mhm.
that's what I mean about, like, the being it's not even doesn't even have to be your kid, but, like, being around a two-year-old will make you, um, sort of reflect again about being carefree and being curious and, like,
Mm.
picking up, like, "Oh, do I like this? Do I like this?" Whereas, like, my forty-something-year-old self is like, if whenever I think about a new hobby I might wanna try, first of all, I'm the kind of person who has never tried things that I didn't think I would be at least moderately good at. Like, that's a flaw from, like
Well, that no, it's not a flaw. That is an ADHD trait
Oh,
because
let's talk about my undiagnosed ADHD. Um, and so that's a little so I had less of that when I was younger, and so I would just, like I would still do it,
Mhm.
but there was less, like, practicality to the pivot.
Mhm.
I went into shirts and apparel because I hate ugly t-shirts, and I had a couple of ideas for shirts I wanted for myself,
Mhm.
and I was like, I don't know how to execute this. Let me just, like, see if I can figure it out for myself."
Mhm.
And so I think I started with, like, 5 designs and just sort of threw them up, and people loved them, and it became a thing, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed, um, coming up with ideas for shirts. I enjoyed,
Mhm.
um I love running when you to this day, like, when I pull up and you're wearing my shirt like that and it just happened to me yesterday in person, somebody who knew I was coming. It's not like they just were casually wearing the shirt. They knew I was coming, so they put on the shirt, but that has just, you know to this day, I'm just like, "Somebody else liked this? That's wow." Um And so that's how that happened, and there was an overlap with, my passion project and, my politics, and so that also
Mhm.
gave me an opportunity to put things on shirts, um, that I wasn't seeing, and also, sometimes people I didn't know, strangers would contact me on the internet like, "Oh, I went to such and such with your shirt on." It was such a conversation piece, and, like, it gave
Mhm.
me the opportunity to, like, be disruptive, without,
Yes.
like, marching through the spot with a sign. And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I wanted." Um, and I only shut that down because I ran the business for 8 years, and I would say the last 2 were just, like, maintenance. Like, it was up,
Mm.
people could buy stuff. I hadn't created anything new. I didn't have any negative feelings towards it, but I wasn't excited about it anymore. And I wasn't
Yeah.
inspired to create new things. It was just
Mhm.
there. And so if I had shut it down when I first started feeling like that, it would have been 2 years earlier. And when I finally did it, it was like just coming to terms with like this thing that I created that I really loved. Um, and I wanted to continue it, but I didn't want to continue it. So let me just
Yeah.
let's just shut it down. It had a good life and we'll move on to the next thing. The Instagram is still up and people still tag me like when they wear their stuff
Oh,
out.
nice.
I don't check it as often, but when I'm over there and I see it, I'll repost because it's like this is still resonating with people.
Mhm.
And so that's special to me. And I guess the hesitation into the next pivot, I guess the next pivot is technically motherhood, but the hesitation into the next creative pivot is finding that thing. I haven't
Mhm.
found the thing that I'm excited to do. When I stopped performing spoken word and when I stopped largely writing poetry, it was for the same reason. I just didn't have it anymore.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's like still in there on reserve. Something might pop out. I do write occasionally. Um,
But the drive was gone.
the drive was gone.
Yeah.
And I am very much a person who doesn't I don't if I don't have something to say, I don't say it. I don't say anything.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking for the thing that I can be excited about and that I wanna do. I just don't know what that is yet.
So I just wanna touch on something that you said earlier, about, you're trying to figure out what's next, but, like, you don't know the path, right?
Mhm.
So, how do you go about quieting the voice that says you need to have a clear plan, in order to feel like you're allowed to create again?
I don't know. You tell me. I
You
haven't
can't ask me because I just be doing random
I
shit, like
listen, and I admire that.
I'm like, I got guitars, I went and took DJ lessons last year,
I wanna
I
be.
started crocheting, I just do I'm like, "Huh, that's interesting, let me give that a try."
That's who I wanna
I have to
be.
stop myself though, because I will go overboard and start
Oh,
buying
you
up the
go
whole
in.
store.
You go
I saw
in.
I saw an Instagram reel about people taking, like, multiple sweatshirts and making it into, like, a new sweatshirt. I was like, "Ooh, I wanna do that." I'm like, "I will end up with a sewing machine and, a whole bunch of supplies, and then we'll be over it in 2 weeks." So I had to stop.
And that's me is the over it part. I'll probably do the thing once and it doesn't come out perfect, and I'm like, "This is a terrible idea." The last thing I did like that was yoga teacher certification. I did the and I'm okay with doing things just to learn. Like
Mhm.
training, I enjoyed that. Putting it into practice and being somebody's yoga teacher, I was like, I don't like this. I don't I have paid all this money. I could have
You're
probably
like, "I kinda just wanted to know for me."
did. I could have probably just continued taking classes and been fine.
Mhm.
Did I need to be a yoga teacher? No.
That's what people ask me. They're, "Oh, you go DJ parties?" I'm like, "No, I literally just wanted to know how to do it and mix music and play around in the house." Like, I have no desire to, like, do that as a profession.
Yeah, that's and I will say to my mother's credit, her sweet 40s born boomer credit. My mom, after I graduated from college, my mom went back to college. She had dropped
Mhm,
out in the '70s. Um, she went back to college. She didn't attend her graduate she was probably in her 50s, like late 50s, early 60s. She didn't attend her graduation. I was like, "Why not?" And she was like, "I already did the thing I wanted to do. I'm not even gonna use this degree. I just wanted to finish." And so I have a lot of that in me, um,
mhm.
and so I'm grateful for that, but, like, I do have a sewing machine, Charvon. I can't sew. I took a class. I made a pillow. Um, it's just not there are ways in which it's not prudent, but
Yeah.
I'm
That's
al
why I like going out and taking, like, different classes.
Mhm.
So that way when I feel a desire to try something, it's like, go sign up, like, 'cause El Paso has all types of they got woodworking classes and leather classes and ceramic classes and stuff like that. That way I don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of supplies. It's like, let me just go see how I feel about it.
Yes. Yes.
And
Give you a
and
little
then
sample. You don't have to
yeah.
start a new career. So to answer your question, I don't quiet it. I try to find the balance with it.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I'm like, do the thing, and then sometimes I'm like, do you really wanna do the thing? Um, so it's hard. And back to your other question, I don't feel pressure to live up to who I used to be. I feel pressure to be cool enough to hang out with that person. I feel
Ah.
pressure to be in rooms where people know me as a particular thing.
Mhm.
I feel pressure to be cool enough that when I tell them I'm no longer that thing, but this new thing is also cool. So for me, the weirdness is where I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I don't do that anymore, and now I'm doing nothing." Or now I'm doing this other thing that's not as cool as that thing. Um, so I feel pressure that the pivot is I feel pressure that it's not perceived as failure. I feel pressure that it's not perceived
Mhm.
as, "I used to do this thing and I quit for
Yeah.
nothing," versus, like, "I quit for this cool,
I like
shiny."
saying I'm on a hiatus,
I
right? Because when I stopped photography for a bit, because I had a partial tear in my rotator cuff, and it was carrying cameras was hurting. I'm like, "I'm on a hiatus." I haven't quit photography, but I needed a
like that.
break.
I like that. I like
Just
that.
say
A
you're
little
on a
sabbatical.
creative hiatus right now.
Yeah. I need to start using that, especially when I feel, like, weird about it. 'Cause people, people and it's never like it's completely, projected. It's never like people being like, "You don't do that
Mhm.
anymore?" It's just like it's casual, and then my brain is like
Yeah. And a lot of that is our we're projecting
Mhm.
what we think they're thinking, and they're not thinking that at all, right? Because like you said, people are still out here rocking your shirts, so, you're you've made your impact even if you never create again, right? But I know that being who we are, we will create until our last breath. So how do you pull creativity into motherhood? Like, do you do projects with your son? Do you get him into creative activities?
Not yet, because he's not compliant. I've attempted a few things, he's not into it. He's very strong-willed. The
Where does he get that from?
the pivots The creativity is in the pivots, because you have all these ideas about who you're gonna be as a parent, and how you're gonna
Mhm,
parent, and what kind of parent you're gonna be, and even, like, how you're gonna address your kid. Like, he's still young enough that he'll wear what we give him to wear.
mhm.
Um, I feel like the clock is ticking on that. Like, we're gonna hit a moment where he's like, "Give me that dinosaur shirt 3 times a
Mhm,
week." Um, but, you have all these ideas, and you have to pivot. So I think for parenthood, for me, it's easier to have a foundation of, your non-negotiables.
mhm.
You even gotta be careful with that. Like, my kid the last 2 days has eaten pretzels and water. That's it.
You're like, "I'm gonna choose my
You
battles."
have to, because with a strong-willed kid, because I was a kid who I was a very picky eater,
Same.
and I just wasn't hungry that much. So, I remember I had this one babysitter, and for whatever reason, my mom didn't know about this until I was, like, an adult, because I didn't mention it to her because I didn't care. But she had me long enough in the day that she kept placing out on the table. She kept offering me the same meal from the last meal that I hadn't eaten, because she was gonna break me down, and I'm like, "Girl, I just won't eat. Like, I'm not hungry. It's fine." Like, I don't care. And so when you have a kid like that, which I do, your choice is you give them what they wanna eat or they don't eat. And so
Mhm.
he's gonna eat pretzels all day or he's not gonna eat. And so you have to those are my battles. Those are my current battles. Um, But I was saying you have these non-negotiables, like, my kid's not gonna be allowed to watch or play with Paw Patrol. That's an absolute
Mm.
non-negotiable. We're not doing little police stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be rocking a justice system is criminal shirt,
And my kid's rocking
and
Paw
then and your kids out here wanting to be Paw Patrol for Halloween.
Cannot do it, and so that is the non-negotiable, right?
Mhm,
Um, but I have, like, this handful of non-negotiables, and that's where we're operating from, um, but the rest is pivots and freestyles, and so that's where my creativity comes from, or my
mhm,
creativity in motherhood is, like, finding ways to meet both of our needs, or all 3 of
mhm.
our needs, because he does have a dad. I am married, good guy, and so, like, what are the ways that I can sort of check all the boxes, or as many boxes as possible? Um, and that keeps me on my toes, and it also, if you subscribe to, like, um, quote, unquote, "gentle parenting" or conscious parenting, how do I
Mhm,
do that in ways that are different than what larger society is saying are the
mm,
norm? How do I nurture and love and support this kid without, um, leaning on punishment?
mhm.
How can I make sure that I'm not being carceral in my relationship with my kid?
Yeah.
Um, and that it's hard, and it's ever evolving, and, um, but I think it's a worthwhile venture, and so I'm committed to it, and so a lot of times that's where the creativity comes into play. He's not yet into the art projects that I wanna be about. He likes music, and so most of
Nice.
the music that he listens to besides the Moana soundtrack is, like, regular adult music, not like kids bop.
Mhm.
And so I get a little bit of it in there. I get to get him really cool T-shirts because, again, he doesn't yet protest, about his shirts, so we get that in there. Um, but I do hope to, yeah, do really cool blackety black stuff with him as he continues to grow. That's one of my parenthood goals.
Nice. So, you kinda touched on it a little bit when you were talking about, you know, parenting, the balance with regard to punishment and not wanting to be carceral. So I'm gonna kinda transition that into your work as a abolitionist, which was very, um, kind of an overarching theme in some of the later designs you had with incense trap and yoga. So with that regard and the work that just maybe just talk about that a little bit, and the work that you've done with regard to being an abolitionist, and maybe explain to people what that means, because most people hear that, they're gonna think slavery abolition or Harriet Tubman, right? Talk about what being an abolitionist means in modern times.
Yeah. I love to be associated with Harriet Tubman. And actually it's not a separate concept, but
Mm-mm.
it's for some people, a lot of people, interestingly, um, are i are retroactively, like, in support of slavery abolition, and then look at you like you have 3 heads, when you talk about abolition now, because 'cause they're like, "Yeah, slavery is bad, but locking people up and forcing them to work for free is fine." Um, so, um, modern day abolition is making the connections between slavery and the prison industrial complex.
Mhm.
Um, it's advocating for people's needs to be met, um, in ways that actually interrupt cycles of poverty, um, crime as it's construed, in this country. Um, how do we get people's needs met so that they're not doing things that lead to them being criminalized and put into prison? Um, what are the things that we're building to create and maintain, safety and education and wellness and health? And how do we deconstruct the current U.S. prison system?
Mhm.
And for me, I came to abolition because a lot of the professional work that I was doing led to me doing that work in prisons. So
Mm.
um, I used to do sex education work with young people. And one of the sites for that work was a detention center for young people. And so I go in there and I'm like, I'm there to do my job, which is to teach sex ed. But I'm like, what even is this place? Like, I'm getting
Yeah.
curious about the system and the kids there, because you're given a narrative by the system and by this country, and that you're given that narrative on purpose so that you don't ask more questions and so that you continue to support the system. But you're given this narrative, and then you go in there and they're just kids. Like it's just
Mhm.
kids, and they're just like the kids that I'm teaching in classrooms in public schools, but they're locked in this cage, like literal cages. And so, later I was doing domestic violence education work, and I ended up doing some of that work in a jail where women were. And so again, I'm asking questions and getting curious and um, actively interrogating what I've been taught and what I will choose to continue to believe, right?
Mhm.
It's like you've been taught this thing and you've been shown something very different. Where do you go from here? Do you continue forward believing the propaganda that you were given, or do you have some tough conversations with yourself and other people
Mhm.
to think of another way? And that's what abolition is. And people get stuck on okay, so if we get rid of prisons, then what? And it's like, yeah, then what? That's the question. That's the conversation
Yeah.
I'm inviting you to have with us. Is then what? What are
What are some alternative methods of rehabilitation? Because
yes,
what we got going on right now is not it.
it's not it. And
Mhm.
it's not an adequate deterrent. If it were an adequate deterrent, we wouldn't still have people in prison in 2020.
You wouldn't have recidivism. Like, this is a huge thing in El Paso is trying to cut down on recidivism, right? And what for anybody who doesn't know what that means is people who come out and go back in, and
Mhm,
come out and go back in. And so, obviously, whatever's happening on the inside is not rehabilitating them out of the actions and the behaviors that are causing them to get locked up. So, um, definitely need I wouldn't even say I think you said abolition, not reform. I think I saw a post
mhm.
recently, because it's not it's I think we're beyond reform at this point. It needs to be abolished and something new built from the ground, um,
Absolutely.
because, you can rehab a house if it's got a good structure, but if the structure is shot, you gotta just tear it down, level it, and start over. Um so definitely love the work that you do with that and how passionate you are about it. Um, and so for anybody who is also passionate about those things, I strongly recommend that you follow your Rhythm Keen, right?
Mhm.
On Instagram, Rhythm Keen on Instagram. We'll put it in the description. Um, but you're obviously big on culture and community, as well as your own lived experience. So, how does that continue to influence how you think about creating?
I am super Black. Happy Black History Month, by the way.
Yes, happy Black History Month.
I'm super Black, right? And I'm raising a Black child, which is such a gift.
Mhm.
Um, and so I mean, you see like online, the diaspora wars and like the ways that Black American culture is, and I say this happens within the so-called diaspora wars, and then it also happens just broadly outside of uh Blackness, where Black American culture is used and stolen from and borrowed from and not credited, um, and then discredited, right? So, like, people love
Yes.
Black American culture and then
Mhm.
will within the exact same breath say we don't have culture, or
Or we don't have the influence that we have, right?
right,
This is an ongoing, argument amongst the K-pop fan community. You know, there's a lot of Black K-pop fans
yeah,
because it's Black music,
'cause it's Black.
right? And that's what it draws us in, and then you get people who are like, "Well, no, it's K-pop. It's not it has nothing to do with Black American culture," and it's like, "No, what you see it as today would not exist if Black American culture didn't exist." You know, and I see this again, like you said, in the diaspora wars, there's always the arguments between Black Americans and Black Brits. And it's like, where do you think your hip hop came from? But that's a whole other podcast. That's a whole full conversation there.
Maybe 3 conversations, right?
Yes.
So, like, yeah, so we don't receive the credit for
Mhm.
being who we are and for doing what we do and contributing what we contribute. And so I love, and as someone who was raised in the South and then who, um, had my young adulthood in and around Philadelphia, um, I I am just forever committed to Black American culture. I am indebted to Black American culture.
Mhm.
And so I love celebrating Black American culture. And a lot of my incense trap and yoga inspiration and output was steeped in Black American culture.
Mhm.
And so I have a responsibility to it. And I am a purist about it in a lot of ways. Um, and it is the thing that is most natural to me. And so I don't even when I set out to do incense strapping yoga, I wasn't like, let me do this really Black thing. I
Mhm.
just did a really Black thing.
Yeah.
And so whatever I do next, I imagine will just naturally be a really Black thing. Um
Need that on a shirt.
that is what I miss the most.
Mhm. When you get these ideas, it's like,
Yes.
"Ah, put that on a shirt."
Now what am I gonna do with it? I don't know. Um, so yeah, I think, the culture raised me, it's still raising me,
Mhm.
and, I'm hoping I hope that part of my legacy I hope that it would be impossible to talk about me after I'm gone without talking about how Black I am.
Mm.
That would be that might be my only goal. Just say she was really Black. Here lies Stephanie Keene. She was really Black.
That needs to be on your tombstone. We've said it, we've put it out into the universe. It
Yes.
is documented now, so
Hold on
that
to this
way whoever's in
documentation.
charge of your arrangements, she
Yeah,
was really Black.
she was really Black.
So, what would you tell someone who feels like, they're behind,
Mm,
because they're in a pause or a transition
mhm.
moment or in a hiatus?
I hate to be really cliche, but, like, those lists that, talk about the ages, like, really influential people were when they did things, like, there's one about, like,
Mhm.
however old, Toni Morrison was when she published her first novel. I wish I could tell you what that age was. Um,
I think it was in her 40s.
well,
I
I
was
think it
thinking
was.
what it
I
was.
think she was, like,
Yeah.
42, 43. I'm actually reading her novels in chronological order right now. Like, some of
Mhm.
them I've read, I haven't read all of them, but I regardless of what I've read and I haven't read, I haven't read any of them as an adult until now, and so I'm starting, from The Bluest Eye and going through, uh,
Mhm.
and I'm currently reading, Tony at Random. The author's last name is Williams, talking about Toni Morrison as an editor.
Mhm.
Um, so I hate when it's done in, like, a list form. It's like, "So and so was 43 when they did
Mhm.
such and such." It's just corny, but it's also, like, useful.
Yeah, or even if you find somebody that you look up to, because I always remind myself, it just randomly pops into my head. I'm like, "Sherman, Ava was 39." Ava, like, that's all I say, "Ava was 39." And then I get like, I don't feel that overwhelm over or that rush, because it's like, you know, when to see and I've had the fortune of seeing her in that moment, we're having worked for her around that time and then seeing where she is now, and it happened like that, and it can happen like that for anybody.
Yep.
So I always remind myself, it's like, even if you just pick your one person, like you said, Toni Morrison for you, for me, it's Ava, and I just always say, "Ava was 39 when
And
she
it
decided she wanted to start
like,
directing."
instantly, like,
Mhm.
and I think also, again, as millennials in particular, are you a millennial? You're a millennial.
Yes. W
Um,
Yes, we were born in the same year.
were we?
Yes. How old are you right now?
40 something?
Well, I just turned 45 2 weeks ago.
Okay. I think, I'll be 40
No, you're 80.
I'll
I'm
be
not gonna say your
44
year.
this year.
Yeah, I think you're a year
I'm
younger than me.
82.
Yeah. Okay.
I know
So, yeah,
it's
so
like
technically, though, I'm a millennial.
I was gonna say we're so close. That's the only reason I asked. I know you're not, like, 10 years older than me. We're so close to the line.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
think
like
I
this.
start millennials. I think it
Okay.
starts with 81. Yeah.
So why did I say millennials? Oh, because we were raised by people who were raised by people for whom 40 was old,
Yeah.
right? I remember the first age I remember my mom turning is 40, because for the time, she had me older.
Mhm.
And so the first time I remember being aware of her age, she was turning 40, and her younger sisters were like, it was a thing. They were like
Mhm.
making jokes about it, like, "Oh my god, you're 40." It was a huge thing. And so 40 now is so much younger than 40 used to be.
Yeah.
But I think because we were raised by people for whom 40 was old, our view of it is different. Like, my kid isn't gonna think 40 is as old as I grew up
Mhm.
thinking 40 was. And
Yeah.
so I think that lends itself to this pressure of feeling like I'm behind, I'm late, can I even still do this thing? And so for me, sometimes if I think I'm late or behind, think about like I might live 60 more years, which is nuts.
Yeah.
But like I might live 60 more years.
Mhm.
I might have 60 years to do stuff.
Yeah.
And so I have time.
Yeah.
Um, and then, just thinking about like, even when you see somebody doing a thing at like 25, you don't know. And you don't know what they had to do that thing at 25. And you don't
Mhm.
know if that was a thing that you'd be willing to do.
Yeah. You
Um,
don't know what their life was between 0 and 24.
you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea. And so, yeah, just keep your eyes on your own paper. Realize you might be here for a long time. And yeah, look to people who, have done things, even people who have just pivoted at like you think about like I wish I could think of an example, but like well-known people that just have random pivots because they can, like
Mhm.
random celebrity that like now has the money to like, oh, I just thought of an example, but it's not one I want to use. Um,
I thought of one too, and I didn't wanna say it.
oh, no, it's probably the same one. Um, but like people have these pivots, and it's like they can finally do the thing that they wanted to do, and they happen to be
Mhm.
like in their 60s or 70s. There's no reason anybody else can't do that, or do a version of it, or explore a thing. I recently saw a video of a woman in her, like, 60s doing stand-up for the first time.
Mm.
Like, was it great? No. But let me tell you, like, you could tell for her, it was and I don't even think she posted it like, "This was great." She posted it like,
I did it. I
I
did the
did
thing. Yeah.
did the thing, and, like, how many of us don't do the thing because 'cause we're concerned about, like, what it's gonna look like or
Mhm.
whether it's gonna be successful, and I think that is one downfall of having, or one sort of negative side of having had success at a thing, is then you can become afraid of trying new things out loud, uh,
Mm.
because the emphasis is often placed on the outcome and not just the fact that you did it, just the fact that you tried. Uh,
Yeah.
I think social media has contributed a lot to people being afraid to fail out loud or in public. Um, when I would argue, I think we all know, like the failure is not trying the thing. The failure is allowing the fear to not let you do the thing.
Mhm.
Um, Part of my issue, I wish I could think of a thing that I'm afraid to fail at. I wish I could think of like, oh, I really want to try this thing, but I'm afraid.
I am afraid of failing at skydiving. I really wanna go skydiving, but I'm like, kinda have some things other things I wanna do. I need to do that when I have
We've
gotten to
done
the
all the
point in life
things.
where it's like, "Okay, I've done all the things. I can go jump out of a plane now."
Yes. You wanna save that one for as little as possible. I do not have any desire to do that. When I was younger, I used to wanna bungee jump, and I got over that.
I've never wanted to do that.
Didn't want
I don't like that snap part, but, I'll float down. Although both my cousins, they're military, and they've jumped out of a plane, and they were like, "Yeah, that first 30 seconds, you can't really breathe." Like, it's just the air smacking you in your face. It's like, "Yeah, maybe I don't wanna do that
that
anymore."
just sounds like a panic attack to me. I'm good. But yeah, I wish I could find the thing that I'm afraid to do. I have there's nothing on my list. I don't have
Yeah.
anything. So for me, that's what the current pivot is like trying to figure out what's on the list. What do I wanna do? What am I afraid to do? Even if it's a thing that I'm just like, I'm too afraid I'm not gonna do it. I wish I knew what that was. I don't currently there's like nothing in there. Which is probably not helped by my undiagnosed ADHD. I need to go see the lady. I know it's in there. Um,
Well, that's the beauty of ADHD is that we have the willingness to try and fail, and we move on very quickly when that happens.
like it never happened.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, with our memory short-term memory loss, we won't even remember that we did that.
Not there.
Sometimes I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about this craft.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I did used to sell that."
Big yes.
So, I think that's a good point or a good place to wrap up on. Because what we'll do is we'll bring you back once you've started your new thing. We'll bring you back to talk about what that thing is.
That would be wonderful.
But in this season of re-becoming, um, um it's always a pleasure to follow your journey and your funny stories about your kid. So I appreciate you for coming and joining the podcast and for always being very supportive of all of my things and all of my pivots.
I love your pivots, and I love this podcast, and I love you doing the thing. Because let me tell you that even this, like, studio we're in, I've never seen this platform, but you one thing you're gonna do is, like,
I'm gonna figure it out.
you're gonna figure it out,
I'm
and
always
you're
gonna
gonna
figure it out.
look really good. Like, that's
Yes.
2 things I know for sure when you pivot, you're gonna figure it out and you're gonna make it look good.
I appreciate
So
that.
congratulations on your current pivot, your current outlet, your current project. It is lovely. I am so honored that you asked me to be here. Um,
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening and watching.
Life doesn't always stay in perfect focus. There's magic in the blur we can't ignore. Every shadow, every highlight softly shows us who we are and who we're reaching for. When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, light in life and all the limitations.